Hey everybody, welcome to the Happy Harvest Homestead. Today I'm going to talk about your mama rabbit not pulling fur for her babies when it is hot outside. I know I've talked about this a lot before already, but just to recap, a good mother rabbit when she is pregnant, usually a few days before she gives birth, will pull fur from her body and make a nest for her babies so they can stay warm and safe and dry and clean. And most of the time, when a doe does not pull fur for her babies, it causes a lot of problems. And quite often, bad mamas get cold for not pulling fur for their babies because the babies get too cold and they die. So the general rule of thumb for most breeders is a doe who doesn't pull fur is a bad mom, and she either gets cold right away or she gets a strike against her. And, maybe you'll let her try again the next month and see if she'll have a good litter then. But then if she gets 2 or 3 strikes, then she's butchered and replaced with a better doe. But in my experience, these usual circumstances change when it's very hot outside. Well, first of all, your does should not be getting pregnant when it's hot outside to begin with, because nature has set up a wonderful system where most rabbit bucks go temporarily heat sterile when temperatures regularly get above 80 degrees, because being pregnant and giving birth in the heat is really hard on a mama rabbit's body, and they can get heat stroke more easily, and they can have birth complications, or I've had does die of heat stroke while giving birth because it's just too much for them. So during summertime the bucks can't breed them, so they stay alive and can have babies throughout the fall and winter and cooler months. But sometimes nature doesn't work perfectly, and you have a buck who isn't sterile, or maybe the doe got pregnant in May when it was still cool, but now a month later when she's due to give birth, it's hotter and it's like June, and she's pregnant because her belly has ballooned out, or maybe you can even see the little babies wiggling inside her tummy, and she builds a beautiful nest, but she doesn't pull fur. And then she gives birth, and then she doesn't pull fur. And then she's caring for her babies, she's nursing them well, everything's going wonderfully, but she still doesn't pull fur. Or maybe she only pulls a tiny, tiny bit, which is not nearly enough to properly cover the babies or keep them warm. Now notice what I just said there, keep them warm. It is really amazing how sophisticated and wonderful a rabbit's instincts can be. I have oftentimes had very experienced mama does who usually have amazing litters, who pull tons of fur for their babies in the winter and when it's cold outside. They can tell that it's hot outside, so to keep their babies cool and keep them from overheating and get heat stroke, they on purpose don't pull fur. I think that is just the coolest thing. They can tell and know and be good moms and not pull fur. Of course, pulling fur is usually a bad sign for a reason. If you have a doe not pulling fur in the summertime, she could also very well be a first-time mom who doesn't know what she's doing, or she could be a bad mom, or she could be a good doe who is getting kind of too old and is beginning to decline and needs to be culled because she's too old. But also, she could be an amazing mom who still has a lot of good litters in her, still has good instincts, and is just being extra smart. So when you are evaluating your litters situation, make sure you take into account all the possibilities before making any rash decisions to cull or butcher or give a doe a strike. I apologize for interrupting this enthralling video, but I want to take this opportunity to announce that my handmade crochet dish scrubbies are now on sale. I have been perfecting this pattern for years, and me, my family, our friends and neighbors all rave about these scrubbies. They are the perfect size to fit in your hand, and they are very bendable, so you can easily clean the nooks and crannies of your dishes and cutlery. Because they are made with 100% cotton yarn, they are very durable and will last for years, and it is super easy to clean and reuse them. Each pack includes 7 scrubbies, so you can use 1 each day. Then at the end of the week, take all your dirty scrubbies, put them in a mesh bag, then stick them in your washer and then in your dryer as usual. Then they are all fresh and clean and ready to be used for the next week. The link to my Etsy store is in the description box below this video if you want to check them out. Alright, now back to the video. Now, actually dealing with the physical situation of a litter who is born in the summertime with no fur is insanely tricky, and you probably will fail. I'm just telling you right now. So don't be sad or mad at yourself or your rabbits if you fail. In all my years of having summer litters, I don't believe even one of them has survived. I think they've all died of heat stroke at some point, which is why naturally the rabbits will take a break from having litters because it's such a deadly time of year for new babies. So if you have babies in the heat of summer with no fur, what do? Do you give them fur? Because, maybe your days are really hot, but your nights get cool, so they could either burn to death in the day or freeze to death at night. Or maybe you're going to have a couple of cloudy, cool, and rainy days, and they're going to freeze to death that way too. And really, I don't know. Each situation is completely different, completely unique, and you have to decide. Probably you won't have to deal with this for very long, though, because they'll just die of heat stroke anyways, even if you don't give them fur. So you could just, emotionally detach yourself from the situation and watch as, a cold, observing scientist person just to, figure out what you want to do better next time. So I'm sorry I don't have, any good answers for helping the actual litter, but I just want to make sure that you don't give your doe a strike because she didn't pull fur and the babies died of heat stroke, because it wasn't her fault. It was just, the weather's fault, and she was actually trying to help the situation. So don't go around culling does who are actually being amazingly smart moms. That's my whole message. Thanks for watching.